What a night of fights. That final main event was absolutely incredible. Now, let's go through the bets that I had on and how I went. I actually went today 3 for 5. I did end up taking Jamie Pickett. I didn't touch the Brian Kelleher Kevin Kroom fight because I thought there was too many questions about it. And then I did have Vyacheslav Borshev by knockout, so I had him at plus, I believe it was plus 110. Then the Chikadze Maya fight I ended up not touching because I thought it was too close and I didn't want to grab the decision, even though you could have parlayed the decision at like minus 400. But then I was way off on Jake Collier versus Chase Sherman, and that was like the one that I thought I was the most confident on. That's why I usually put my bets. I put the same amount for each one because a lot of times the fights that I'm like least confident on or I have a hunch on, I end up winning, and the ones I'm most confident on, I end up losing. And then I had Giga by knockout, and Kurui, I was way off on that. So let's go through all the fights. So I didn't see the first T.J. Brown against Charles Rosa fight and Brian Kelleher against Kevin Kroom fight. Or Court McGee against Ramiz Brahimai, and I actually just saw Jamie Pickett win the decision, so I was like, nice, that was like my first play. And I thought that the Jamie Pickett play was pretty easy. You know what I mean? It was one of those like plays that didn't involve too much analysis. Again, like Jamie Pickett is the UFC veteran. People underestimate him. He came in looking more fit. He has the higher level of competition, so that was a good play. So the first fight I saw was Bill Algeo against Joe Anderson Brito. That was actually a very fun fight. I like Bill Algeo. He has that swagger. I do disagree with him. He acted as if he had dominated the fight. He definitely won that fight. There's no question about it. But 29-28 is not a bad decision considering Joe Anderson was more aggressive. I think it was in the first. So even though, yeah, you can say, also, when people say that like the significant strike numbers are, way off. So, obviously significant strikes, the numbers are important. But let's say if someone were to land 5 sharp jabs, you can call that a significant strike. And then someone lands a giant haymaker that like wobbles the guy. And again, let's say, he doesn't come down, so it does not count as a knockdown. But still, you know what I mean? Like, significant strikes are not all the same. So just wanted to comment on that. But Bill Algeo did well. I thought, that's another play I missed. I missed the Bill Algeo play because he was the dog. I was kind of eyeing that play, but I don't know, I've lost money in Bill Algeo before when he fought the older fighter, Ricardo Lamas. So that's interesting. The next fight, oh man, I love this damn guy. Vyacheslav Borshev, man, I love this guy's story. I love his style. He has that awkward, style a little bit, but guy's has a great heart, awesome, great family man, great story. I had money on him by knockout. It's funny because I got it at plus 110. It was plus 240 for first round knockout. I was going to do it, but, I chickened out. And, man, what a beautiful body shot. Man, that probably could have broken the guy's ribs. And Dakota Bush, game opponent. I mean, you knew he was going to be a game opponent. His coach is James Krause. James Krause always prepares his fighters great. And, but, man, Vyacheslav, wow. What a talent. I cannot wait to see this guy fight. And I'm happy the UFC is promoting him. I love that he has Uriah Faber in his corner. They seem like they have a great relationship, a trusting relationship. And I can't wait to see this guy succeed. He's just like a good-hearted person. And I love seeing people like that succeed. And Caitlin Chukagin against Jennifer Maia, man, Caitlin keeps doing her damn thing. And I thought that, it might have been worth throwing something on Jennifer Maia, and I was freaking wrong. And Caitlin just proves, and I guess, I have a negative association with Caitlin because I had a lot of money on her when she fought Jessica Andrade. And I thought, man, this is going to be an easy one. I thought, she does everything better than Andrade minus the power. She's just going to outpoint her easily. And she has, a foot, height advantage, reach advantage. She's pretty good at using her reach. But she just got hit with that body shot, that Vyacheslav Borshev body shot that just, bam, she was just she couldn't even hide it. She's like, ah! And then she, turned around and ran. And yeah, I mean, you know what? Good for Caitlin Chukagin. I respect her grind. I've been wrong on hers with so many directions. I actually had money on Viviane Araujo against her, and I actually thought that Viviane won, but whatever, it is what it is. It was a close fight, could have gone either way. That's part of the game. I feel like that also I don't mean to go on a side tangent, but I feel like that there should be a lot more draws given out in MMA. I mean, if something's so damn close like that, you just got to give it a damn draw. And yeah. Next fight, wow, what a fucking awesome fight. Brandon Royval against Rogerio Bontorin. And Rogerio Bontorin, and and I'm sorry, I did have, I don't know if I mentioned it, I did have a play on Royval and Bontorin going to decision. So I just wanted to mention that, so that, yep, and yeah, so that's kind of the direction that I decided to go, because I wasn't really sure which way I was going to go, but based on the idea of it being a flyweight fight, my thought was, hey, the probability of flyweight fights going the decision is very high, even though Brandon Royval is an outlier, and, and by the way, what do you guys think? Was that a tap? It looked like he was about to tap, and then he realized he can get out. Like, he was tapping once, and then he's like, nope, it loosened up, and then he stopped. I think that's what happened. I mean, it's possible that Royval loosened up, but again, it sounds like the guy won. I'm happy. I like Royval a lot. I'm happy he cleaned up. He's cleaning up. He's like a finisher type guy. I love the guy. He seems like, before, I thought he was honestly a little bit like, I don't want to be mean, but it's almost like frail, like a little bit like O'Malley, in the sense that his like shoulder pops out and his like heel popped out, like kind of like with O'Malley, his leg. But I like his partnership with Mark Montoya. Mark Montoya is a great fighter, and it's great to see him. And I fucking love the guy. I really hope he goes far. I like him. Kattar France is exciting. I like Oscar Oskarov, so that division's very exciting. And I like Davidson, and I like Brandon Moreno, honestly. But I did, so I'm happy I didn't pick a direction, because I was thinking like Bontorin was the play to make, because he was the dog. But I'm happy I just went going to a decision, because also I was thinking about how Bontorin seems pretty like sturdy. I was a little worried that Bontorin was going to get the sub against Royval, but I mean, it is what it is. It's part of the game, so I'm happy I took that bet and I didn't go any direction. And then the last two fights, holy shit, I was so fucking wrong. It's incredible. I was way, way off. I thought that the play of the night was Chase Sherman against Jake Collier. Collier. Oh my God. Jake Collier ran through Chase Sherman like a truck. And I feel bad, because I do think that Chase Sherman might get cut by the UFC. And it sucks, because the guy, I see him on Instagram working hard, believing in himself. And man, he's like almost not there. And man, it's tough, because, and it just shows you that, that how good Carlos Felipe is, because, Jake Collier went to war with him, and then, he just ran through, Chase Sherman. And, it's unfortunate, because Chase Sherman got cut with the UFC, and then he came back, and it looks like he might get cut again. And I really feel bad, because I like Chase Sherman a lot, man. He's a tough guy, a guy who believes in himself, and, but it's just, man, crazy. And, Jake Collier, I will never talk shit again about, him gaining weight. I mean, the guy is like a fucking tank, man. The guy, I guess he's better with all the extra fat on him. I mean, to be fair, it looks like his body proportions did get better. If you look at him when he first went up to heavyweight, he looked like he just had a giant belly. Now it seems like almost like Roy Nelson towards the end of his career, his body started filling in better. Meaning like it wasn't just like a guy with a giant belly. Like his arms would get bigger, his chest would get bigger. So at least like, you'd have body body recomp kind of in a way. I mean, obviously he's still very overweight, but man, I would never underestimate him. And I think that fight against Arlovsky really makes a lot of sense. But, Arlovsky's calling out Volkov. That makes sense, too. Arlovsky's on a big winning streak. I mean, how long is he going to be fighting unranked guys? I would say maybe Jake Collier would be fun against someone like, even though I do think that maybe he should retire, Alexei Oleinik. So I think that'd be an interesting fight, but I hope Alexei Oleinik retires. I mean, the guy's had a long career. He's worked really hard. I mean, he's fought guys bigger than him his whole career. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Fedor in the sense that Fedor always fought bigger guys than him. But, unfortunately, I mean, Oleinik doesn't really have, great striking. So I do think Collier wins that, but, man, I would not underestimate him. And I think that the way that Tom Aspinall ran through Jake Collier, a lot of people, including myself, underestimated him. I'm like, oh my God, this guy, Jake Collier, I mean, the guy doesn't care about his fitness. He's just, whatever. There was like, some memes making fun of him and stuff like that. But man, Jake Collier, he just proves that guy's a damn athlete. Damn tough guy. Great striking. Beautiful takedown honestly, like that fight was close, except for he pushed him down, he caught that kick, and bam, the finish was there. Beautiful, great job to Jay Collier, and all the best to him. And I feel bad for Chase Sherman. Chase Sherman's an awesome guy. I really like him. I hope the UFC keeps him. I hope he can bring it back because I think he's a tough guy. He's a hard worker. I think he can turn his career around. I really do hope so. And that brings us to the last fight, which I was way off about, was Giga Chikadze against Calvin Kattar. What can I say? First of all, I will say that trip could have cost the fight, but I don't want to, say that, give that as an excuse for Giga, not at all. But I think that Calvin Kattar had a so smart game plan, and I'm really happy that he took that loss. Same thing as Ortega when he lost against Korean Zombie. He took that loss, regrouped, and became a way better fighter. And, he took a lot of time off, which is awesome because, again, when you take that kind of brain damage, and I'm still surprised. I mean, Calvin Kattar's chin is insane. I hope, obviously he's keeping an eye out for brain damage, but he's a tough son of a gun. And he had the genius strategy. First of all, when Giga gave him the opportunity for the takedown, he charged in like crazy, and he got it. And he was fighting for every inch there. And also, he was crowding the kicker. If you crowd the kicker, that's what happens. That's what happens to Barbosa. It happened to Giga as well. And actually kind of interesting, when you think about, a lot of times when you look at top kickboxers, they have great kicks, but their hands aren't as great. And that's kind of what brings me back to Vyacheslav Borchev. What's exciting is he's a kickboxing champion with really nice hands, with really nice body shots. I mean, I would say like Israel Adesanya has really nice hands, and he's a kickboxer, but a lot of times kickboxers, it's almost like they only have good kicks. Their hands are not as great. Almost, I don't want to say that, but just in general, like you'll see certain Muay Thai people where their kicks are incredible, but then their hands are kind of sloppy. I mean, even Loma Lookboonmee, in a way, she has really nice kicks, but then her hands kind of get sloppy. And also I did want to mention that, we'll see what happens. Giga is going to come back. I actually was really high on Giga. I fell into the trap of the hype. I thought that, hey, this guy is the real deal. Like, he's going to beat freaking Volkanovski. He's going to be the next champ. I was definitely wrong. And Volkanovski was right in his tweet. He says, see? And we'll see, man. Like, Calvin's new changed game. We'll see what happens. And, it's like in this division, anyone can beat anyone. And it's so tough. And, and it's so funny because in my mind, I was actually thinking, like, man, like, looking at the odds, like, they're a little high for Giga. It might be worth, like, a shot on Calvin. And, and the problem is I'm also a lot of times biased towards underdogs. So a lot of times I'll pick too many underdogs. And, sometimes I might get, like, 4 in a row wrong. And, it sucks. But then all of a sudden I'll hit some big dogs. Like, I actually had, I thought Juliana Pena was going to win. I was actually told by a friend of mine not that I was stupid and that there's no way, so I ended up not touching that fight. But in hindsight, I do regret it. But yeah, I'm very biased towards dogs, and I was thinking that, like, man, the thing with Ortega against KZ, like, I lost money on KZ, Korean Zombie. The whole thing might come back. I mean, sometimes when these guys have a long layoff, they change their style and they come back. And I'm really happy. He's a tough guy, Calvin Kattar, and we'll see. I mean, it's almost like this division's up. Seems like it's almost becoming like Volkanovski is almost like cleaning out the division. It's almost becoming like the welterweight division where Volkanovski is Usman and Max Holloway is Colby Covington, and everyone else is kind of under that. So it's kind of interesting to see that. So it kind of makes sense. But that just shows you, man, like that shows you different levels. Giga's his cardio. So this is the part that also I wanted to mention. First of all, his cardio surprisingly didn't hold up. I mean, the guy has insane heart, but his cardio didn't hold up. The part that I thought was weird, if you guys remember the fight, right, as it started, Giga went in throwing 4. By the way, another thing I was going to say, Calvin Kattar is like immune to those kicks. I don't know if you noticed, but he just, they didn't affect him. And Giga, he started going like 100 miles an hour. He threw like 10 kicks in a row and was just lighting up Calvin Kattar, destroying him. Then he sat around and did nothing. And I was like, oh my God, like he's waiting for the finishing shot. He's about to time him, about to plan something out, and nothing ends up happening. Then he goes again 100 miles an hour. Now, again, I'm no expert, obviously. His team, I think it's Rafael Cordero. Again, I'm not even want to put myself in the same conversation, but just kind of thinking about it logically, wouldn't it make sense to just go 50 miles an hour, like just keep like a steady pace of the kicks instead of going 100 miles an hour and then stop and then 100, like do nothing, and then 100 miles, and then he kind of lets Calvin Kattar recover and figure out what he wants to do next. And of course, that trip changed everything a lot, and Calvin was able to hold Giga down. And what happens is when you're a striker, it's hard for you to build that grappling cardio, and it still makes you uncomfortable, and you start getting nervous, and you waste more energy. And like for example, like myself, I have a background. Again, I'm not good by any means, but I have a background in boxing and some in kickboxing. And when I grapple today, for example, it gets me nervous. And I waste so much more energy, and I have to use way more strength because I'm, used to kind of more the striking side. That's what's important to get someone grappling and wrestling at a young age. But like the broadcast team said perfectly, Calvin was smart. He mixed in the takedowns, even if he only got the ones that were in the beginning where it was a trip. He was able to mix it up with the with the jabs, with the elbows. And that's another point I want to make. You see a lot of kickboxers, they'll throw a lot of kicks, but they won't throw too many jabs. And one thing I noticed about Giga is, I think when he throws his punches, I don't think he moves his head off the center line. So Calvin's boxing is definitely superior. But I do believe that, what was I going to say? I almost lost my train of thought. I think that Giga, on the positive note, he showed a ton of heart. The guy does not give up on himself. I think he'll be back in a tough way, but I think definitely he might have gotten a little bit overconfident. The way that he was kind of talking, and it's funny when he walked into the if you watched on the UFC broadcast, when he was walking out, he looked like he was dressed up like Neo from The Matrix, so he looked really badass. But I think maybe the confidence got a little bit to his head, and it's kind of like humbling for him to, and I think it's kind of similar to what happened, like what Bisping said happened to Kattar in a way. And but I think that Giga's going to relax and learn, and I think he's going to get better. I don't know if I can see him becoming champion. Maybe if he starts like look, Calvin Kattar has the elbows, the punches, and now he's actually using the takedowns. He should have done that against Max Holloway. Alexander Volkanovski, the guy has a no-quit mentality, but he has the punches, he has the kicks, he has the takedowns, and he has the damn grit, and he has the cardio. So that's like 5 things against, let's say, Giga's kicks, pretty good punches, and grit. 5 advantages to 3. Again, obviously, each of them are quantified differently, but, that's another point. And, you can almost say the same thing about Calvin also. He has the grit, the punches, and the wrestling. And the elbows, so he has 4. But Volkanovski has 5 to 4. So that's how I try to think about these things. And I actually think that I am excited for I'm excited for Korean Zombie against Volkanovski, and I think I actually think that it may be closer than people expect, because people are probably going to expect Volkanovski to run through KZ because of the fact that he kind of ran through Ortega, and Ortega almost destroyed KZ. I actually think it might be closer than expected, so I just want to say that. But enough on the fights. Overall, man, tremendous heart and determination by Calvin and Giga. I loved his message when he said, always believe in yourself, never give up on yourself. Giga, man, he's heart of a warrior. He never gave up on himself either. There's a lot of hype. It's funny. It's almost like there's like a Cejudo curse now. And I actually agreed with Cejudo, where, Cejudo was saying that, like, of the featherweight division, Giga's like the next champion, and he's like the only guy who's afraid to fight. And it's like that thing. Plus, everyone that that Cejudo seems to be training with ends up losing. It's like Whaley, was it Paulo Costa? I think there was someone else. It's almost like, if Davison loses, it might be a curse. It might be a curse for John Jones. So, just kind of a side note. But I love Cejudo. Cejudo's an awesome guy. I actually would argue that, he should get that title shot. He's probably, again, the UFC's very, they're big on money. So if he overshot what he wanted, and, it's unfortunate because he does deserve the money, but the UFC has monopolistic power. So, it is what it is. But yeah, that's enough on the fights. Thanks, guys, so much for listening. And I do appreciate all your support. And yeah, I'm going to be making out some videos for next week's fight. Please like and subscribe, and have a fantastic night.